I'm Angela Smyth and I'm a change coach, and I work with both organisations and with individuals, helping them to plan, implement and to manage change. And I'm often asked what are the most common questions that are brought forward. In a business context, one of the most common themes that I'm asked most regularly is, how can I get my staff to accept change? I have managers that will come to me and say, all my people are resisting change. How can I get them to be comfortable with it? How can I get them to accept it? And so one of the first things I would say is that the key here is to communicate with people. People need to feel that they're a part of the change that you're contemplating. So if you're talking about perhaps merging with another organisation, or perhaps changing teams, or asking people to work in different areas of the business, whatever the change might be, it needs to be something that they feel a part of and involved in, and not something that they feel is being done to them. And the easiest way to do this is to talk to them. I'm often asked what's the best way to communicate, and my answer to that is there's no one perfect way. Everybody is different and people receive information in different ways. Some will want to talk face to face about it. Some will sit in a room and sit at the back, unable to take it in at that initial stage. So they'll want things in writing that they can take away and look at later and maybe question you. Another tip I give is to perhaps set up an advice line through emails where people can ask their own questions. The one common thing will be that everybody in that situation, right across the organisation, is sitting there thinking, what does this mean for me? How is this going to affect me? So they need an opportunity to be able to ask that question in whichever way they are comfortable in asking it. The other thing I would say is to be honest with people. Treat them as adults, don't treat them as children. If there's bad news to be given, give them the bad news as well as the good news, because they will find out. And if you don't actually deliver messages yourself, it's human nature that we all gossip and we imagine things to be far worse than sometimes they actually are. Sometimes the changes that we fear the most are the ones that are most beneficial for us. So my advice in that scenario would be open the lines of communication, keep them going and be honest as possible. There are, of course, a number of other things that I would suggest to you, and this is where bringing a coach into the organisation can help with that. I also deal in many situations with senior teams, owner managers, people at the top of the organisations who are making those changes or being asked to implement them, because what we need to remember is that they're human beings too. They're also individuals. They have feelings here as well. Of course, what does it mean for them? But also sometimes there can be feelings of guilt because they may feel they know more information than they're allowed to impart. They're also part of a team that's being affected. So recognising that everybody involved in that change will be going through a number of emotions at various times, and we can look at various ways to deal with that and to minimise that disruption. A common question that is being raised at the moment is in relation to people who are growing older and becoming more frail, and families having to deal and face with that situation. More and more I'm getting calls from people who are having to cope with ageing relatives, ageing parents, ageing grandparents. We hear every day that people are living longer. We know that incidences of illnesses such as dementia and Alzheimer's are on the increase. And we also know that families are not able to live as closely together as they once did. Sometimes families are hundreds of miles apart and trying to deal with that situation. And so one of the ways I can help as a coach is to help you to explore all of the options that are in front of you, how to deal with that situation, what's best for your relative in that situation and what are their needs. But also, what are your needs and what are your feelings and emotions during this time as well? Sometimes I'm finding that the person who I'm speaking to is trying to run a home, they may have work responsibilities, they've also got these decisions to make that they're faced with for the first time. And it's difficult to juggle all of those things and to keep everything going. Also, you're dealing with some new emotions here. There might be a role reversal if it's a parent that you're trying to sort out and the issues that they're facing. But there's also feelings of loss. There might be feelings of guilt. Quite often, there might be siblings who don't actually disagree about what should be done. And so we can explore how to deal with all of those feelings, recognise and acknowledge those emotions, and actually help you to prioritise and focus so that you're able to move forward and to keep a balance in your life so that actually you can fulfil and carry out all the roles that you're expected to play and not feel guilty about perhaps giving your attention in one particular area. I'm reminded here of a conversation that I had less than 24 hours ago with a client who she's trying to maintain stability at work. She's trying to travel as she's expected to do all around the country as an area representative. And at the same time, her mother is moving out of a hospital context into a care home and lives 40 miles away. So she's trying to deal with all of those things, keep on the brave face at work that everything's fine, when actually she's screaming inside and doesn't know where to turn. The other thing is, as a coach, you might not want to actually have that discussion with somebody in your immediate sphere. You might not have anybody at work that you want to talk to. You might not want to talk to a friend about it. You might not be able to talk to somebody in your family about it. So that's where the coach comes in. The coach is objective. It's a confidential conversation. And it's a discussion that you can explore how you feel about all of the options that are in front of you. So if you're faced with these or any other issues related to change, and you want someone to talk to in confidence, then why not give me a call at Greatvine and we'll have a discussion.